minutes after. I think we could probably start. So, Dave, you want to start recording, please?
Yep, got it.
And then, if you wouldn't mind, toss up our little agenda.
Oh, it should be out there. Oh,
Oh, I
I,
didn't look. Duh, I
I
have
am
to
Still,
push
sure
that
that.
button
still
that
did.
says watch stream. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. True to form, we always like to kind of wait, just have a little bit of chat with everybody before we start this thing. And as you guys can see, we've got a few things to cover. Really, there was kind of a last little bit of excitement that we learned about today. Um, if you don't know, I'm in charge of the X Team's smart contract group right now, just helping, see if I can get activity going there and help us find ways to test it and get the community involved with that. So I will say that I think this is okay to say, Holger, but we've actually have access now to an active test net for ISCP. So in the X teams for smart contracts. So for you trying to figure out what that means, it means that finally we have something where we can actually test and run and use smart contracts. And oh, by the way, the Dodgers got a single. But anyhow, but that's actually really good news. So as we kind of look out forward for the year ahead, and everybody's kind of trying to figure out where we are. This is a hell of a starting point. So you should be I'm rather optimistic about where we are, and I expect to see a lot of fun stuff coming out soon. So stay tuned.
Can I plug something
Yeah,
here?
I would love you to.
So that's just another reason if you are interested in helping out with smart contracts, interested in making the documentation better, interested in participating, even though you're not a developer, but would like to participate, get with Antonio, join the X team, and it's a good blend of being able to participate, but self-directed. There's a lot of opportunities, and it's a great way to give back to the IOTA community. So
Yeah, to kind of go along with that, I should have thought about that too. I guess maybe this Dodger game's got me a little bit sidetracked, but since I'm a little bit, I am kind of helping kickstart this ICP group. To expand on what we're talking about, what Dave was talking about, I have a concept of mentors. So we're kind of putting this together now. So if you don't feel like you're highly qualified, or you're not sure how you want to contribute, but you don't know, you've never done any testing before, or you have a little bit of programming experience, but you can't do it without somebody, kind of guiding hand. I'm establishing a mentor program so that the whole idea is to kind of allow you to kind of try things out, and if it turns out that you can't do something, we'll try to assign somebody that maybe can lend a helping hand and give you some guidance. But the most important thing is you get involved, right?
mhm.
We can move you from like if all of a sudden you start taking on a project, trying something new and it doesn't work out, no problem, you can try something different. But you'll never know until you try. And we need all levels of experience because, for lack of a better term, we want to make a lot of this stuff as idiot proof as we can, right? So obviously they put me in there, but we having people to be able to kind of come from all walks of life, all different levels of experience, is actually quite valuable. Eric Hop is really into having people look at this from different perspectives, and so yeah, get involved. If you want to look at any of the X teams, you talk to Antonio. If you want to get involved with in the smart contracts group, send a DM to me, and I ask a couple questions just to learn what the qualifications are of everybody, so that I can, and I'll provide it. We'll get you into the group. It's just I like to kind of know what their experience is, so then I can align them with the mentor program, so we can provide match people up with individuals. So it's kind of fun. And it's definitely going to be where it's at. It's going to be the exciting times right now. Any questions, concerns?
I think that's very exciting. This is Chris. I just, of course, I'm from the business side, and I appreciate what you're saying about the mentor part of it, because I am business and I'm learning about tech. But I'll ask questions, but I'm like, well, I don't want to frustrate the crap out of everybody, I mean, as appropriate, I think it's important, and I'll just say it because I'm, maybe on the tech side, but I really want to dive into it and tear it apart. Smart contracts are huge, and obviously, I mean, I don't need to tell you guys that. It was fascinating. I was at an EY conference about 2 or 3 years ago in New York, and they passed out a book to everybody, and it's called something like "Blockchain as Law" or "Blockchain as Code" or something like that. And they're talking about court cases coming down, to the point of fact saying this is the contract, which it's like, oh my gosh, if you're in a compliance work, like I have been, it's like, oh my gosh, that's just a whole nother layer. It's just incredible. So anyway, lots to unpack it, but very much looking forward to getting into
Yeah,
it.
great thing too. And also, one of the best ways for you to learn code or learn any of this stuff is to help with documentation, right? If you can help,
Oh,
like
okay.
just read
Oh,
through the manuals and kind of see if they're like you try to
yes.
follow along, right? The best way for
Yep.
us to figure out if we got a hole in our documentation or just missing something that, because when you got developers writing technical stuff, right?
Right.
It's already in their brain, and so they don't even know they're skipping a step in the documentation. So having people just kind of follow through and try to follow the steps, and if all of a sudden you hit a block, you kind of go, "This, I'm stuck here. It doesn't make any sense. What do we do next?" That means we probably have a gap, right?
And really the
So
best way to test documentation, whether it's reading right and it makes sense, is for someone that doesn't know to read through it and
mhm,
ask questions and then say, oh, what does this mean? And then you realize, oh, we haven't defined that correctly yet. And so that,
right,
it leads to a lot of other good positive steps for the documentation.
yeah. Another one of the things that one of the suggestions, and I grasped onto it for this group is also um, for us to get really good at quick start guides. And apparently that's been something that's been lacking for since day one. So that's another thing that we're going to try to kick off, and that's another area where, um, you know, somebody who hasn't a lot of experience, like, help us figure that out and write those up, because with ICP, what we want to do is we want to attract people from other chains, right? We want to get adoption as fast as possible, because ICP has so many advantages to others, as you'll learn in the coming weeks. um, but the easiest ones for you to talk about are, we start with a Phylo structure, and our gas fees, if and when we don't currently have gas fees. If we do have gas fees, they're going to be something of an order of magnitude way less, right? So we'll be the low cost leader in smart contracts that'll be faster, quicker, better, stronger, and all that kind of good stuff. So um, that'll be fun. All right. The man of the hour. We've all been talking about the governance vote coming up, and this is very important. We're on track. Adam and I think that things are looking pretty strong. We definitely will have this all together, and we should be able to have the vote before the end of the year. And that begs the question: okay, what do we do once the vote happens? Assuming that well, even before the vote, right? I think it's kind of important for people to understand what a DAO is, what can be accomplished with a DAO. How do they operate, and just learn a little bit about them, because part and parcel of this vote, build versus burn, is really, hey, are we just going to burn and waste tokens and burn all this money and just have it go into not be used and be an utter shame? But then, if you don't really know, the next step was probably going to be a DAO. But if you don't really know how they work or what they do, or how they can enrich the IOTA community, it really doesn't do us any good. So we thought we'd take this time to start doing kind of a little bit of a education piece on on this, and just kind of understand the state of the DAO, everything about DAOs, and we'll probably touch on this on a regular basis, maybe a little bit segment at a time. And Phylo and I and Adam and a group of others have spent a lot of time in this area, and you can never know enough. And you'll see that, I think, with what you hear what Phylo has to say. So, Phylo, you good to go?
Okay, of course. Thanks, Greg, and thanks everybody. And I mean, it's nice we are a small group, so I have a little presentation here that is actually a presentation that I did a couple of weeks ago for the IF. I mean, because we are all kind of in the same boat, yeah. So even if you hear it in the Discord from several people from time to time that it's like everything's gonna be a DAO and DAO here and DAO there, I think it's really for a lot of people a very it's just 3 letters and nobody has a clue what is behind it. And the same thing happened to me 5 months ago when this first time came up. Yeah, what did I do? I just Googled what is a DAO. Yeah, and from this time on, the last 5.5 months, I got more and more fascinated and interested, and kind of sucked into this whole kind of whole new world of possibilities. And what I really think and what we really need to do is, like Greg said, we need to educate our community about this new field of possibilities that comes hand in hand with smart contracts. And so this is the time now. Yeah? We are starting to get smart contracts ready. We have soon all the possibilities to do DAOs on IOTA, first on a testnet, but still it's a great way of getting involved, yeah. And so I'm just gonna put up my screen here, I think, and just gonna talk a little bit about the things that came up in my research, and then later on I want to show you also a few things from some DAOs directly, some live stuff that is happening in DAOs that makes it sometimes really better to see what is going on in DAOs and to make it not such a cryptic thing that nobody has a clue about it. So 1 second, I will my screen running here.
There we go.
Do you see? This is my main screen, and so I think no, this. Okay, do you see the big screen of the presentation? What is a DAO?
Yep.
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, cool. So actually, this is let's start with the definition. This is just taken out from Wikipedia. The definition is, and it's a quite good one, a decentralized autonomous organization is an organization represented by rules encoded as a computer program. This computer program normally are smart contracts. It's transparent and it's controlled by the organizational members and not influenced by a central government. Broad definition of DAOs. What are they made for? They actually think about a new way how a group of mostly anonymous people distributed over the internet and not localized in the same location, to figure out a way to work together and come together to decisions on a common sense or on a common topic what everybody's interested in. Yeah, you can have a DAO that is actually doing the same stuff as a company today. You can, instead of founding a company, you can found a DAO and you can get the same results. You can do business with a DAO, but you can also think about a DAO as a group of the same political interests. Yeah, so there are so many different ways what DAOs can be, and it's really up to the definition of the members what you want to be a DAO. And so before it was you were kind of organizing yourself in a club yeah, you have interest, you are interested in botanics, whatever, and so you did come together with other people that are interested in botanics, and you have a common goal to make the world know what great plants are out there. You can do it, still do it as a club, but you can also think about having this more decentralized, more open, and more transparent. And as soon as there is some kind of money involved, or pool, or funds involved, what you need is trust. And so in an anonymous internet organization, trusting money or funds to somebody else or members of the group is always difficult. And this is where DLTs have the big success, because if things running on a blockchain or on the Tangle, everything is transparent, everything is open, and everything that happens in the organization, especially with the flow of funds and money, is open to everybody, and everybody can see it. You have an explorer and you can see exactly how funds did move from here to there. And the same thing happens with decision making. Yeah, so DAOs are normally extremely open in their way of making decisions and in communication. And so as soon as you gain membership in a DAO, you are normally directly involved in all the decisions that there are. So there might be a kind of a gremium or a board that got elected to do decisions for you, but all their decisions will still be open and public, and so there's normally no stuff happening behind closed doors. The landscape is huge. DAOs started like a couple of years ago in Ethereum with the famous first DAO that infamously totally crashed and got ripped off of funds, which led actually to the Ethereum hard fork, which created Ethereum Classic and left over ETH, because the first DAO got hacked, and then ETH crew decided to revert the blockchain and remove the funds from the hacker, and the ETH Classic guys decided to stay with the hack, and so this led to the split of the ETH blockchain a couple of years ago. And now today we have thousands of DAOs, and in all kind of different topics, people come together. A kind of the same ethos in looking for ways to organize and work together in a better way than it was commonly done in normal companies or groups. I think this is one of the main important things, that you need a kind of ethos of being open and being equal in a DAO, and see that if you go this way, you can achieve things much faster, much better, but you also have new problems that occur. And so the DAOs today all have a lot of problems, but they all still are pretty successful in doing what they like to do, as long as people align each interest to each other and are open in communicating with each other. It's super easy nowadays to set up a DAO. Yeah, you have templates, you have frameworks now, where you, with a couple of clicks and some funds in your Ethereum wallet, can start up a DAO. You have predefined smart contracts that allow you to do this, and so there's not you don't need to be a coder. Yeah, you even don't need a single programmer in your DAO if you want to have a simple DAO that is based on token-weighted voting, let's say it like this, and you want to organize a group of people together. You don't need to be a skilled developer to do this. Stuff like this. This is Aragon. This is kind of a couple of clicks. You have modules that you can click together and choose your way of governance. You can choose if you want to have delegation there, if you want to have a gremium, and which kind of voting system you want to deploy to your DAO. And after a couple of clicks and a payment of some Ethereum fees, you will be able to have a DAO running. So it's not a big thing in the Ethereum ecosystem anymore. For us in IOTA, we aim to this stuff also up. So this is definitely one of our things, and it's not just for the Treasury DAO. It's like might be one DAO that's coming up, but this is depending on the vote. But still, there will be a lot of other people that want to create DAOs as soon as we have smart contracts running. So we need.
And this is a big thing. So why don't we pause here for a second? Does anyone have any questions to this point? DAOs are interesting. We'll talk about where places you can learn and find resources later. But anybody have any questions? Okay, cool. One thing that oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so Aragon, this is I'm not familiar with that. That's a platform just for a DAO? Is that what that is?
Yes.
That's exactly
right. It's a platform for it's a platform to create DAOs. Okay. Aragon itself is a DAO, and what they do, they offer this as a service for everybody to go on their website and click together the DAO that you would like. There are a lot of different platforms like this out now. It's all for it's all free actually, yeah. So you can use it. You can fork the code. You can do it yourself. And this is
open source.
It's open source, and this is the really interesting part in all this Ethereum ecosystem. It's all out there, and this is the open source ethos, yeah. So there's nobody making a business out of this or making big money out of that. Of course, Aragon also is a DAO that earns money, yeah. So they have an own token. They have a governance token that you can use to make decisions. This token is traded on exchanges, and of course they also offer consulting services, and they help you setting up and things like this. And this is where members of the Aragon DAO then can create an income for the DAO. And so this is a small business running, and they are mainly working on research and making better platforms and better voting systems and making the code better and more usable for everybody, and making a nice front end for everybody. So that's the cool thing. It's really, there's a lot of stuff out there that we could use already.
Yeah, so that's the key here.
Is it a DLT?
Is it a DLT?
Running,
yeah.
So Aragon is running on several blockchains already. They are running on Ethereum, of course. They have now ported over everything also to Polygon and working on more. I think they will go to Phantom also. So they are available on several Ethereum-based platforms. And so actually, as soon as IOTA is running with EVM compatibility, they can also just port over their whole system to IOTA smart contracts. That's the cool thing on EVM compatibility in IOTA, that all the stuff that is out there on the Ethereum ecosystem can just be ported over and run on IOTA also.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, that's a big distinction, right? The beauty of already having all these open source systems out there with all of the code and all the methodology and all the governance issues figured out ahead of time. I mean, to be honest with you, when you start understanding and getting involved with the DAOs, the most complex issues are the governance issues and how you want to run the thing.
And this
is another example, right?
Do you see my screen now? This is Open Zeppelin. Open Zeppelin is a very, very recommended and very high valued group they are actually auditing Ethereum smart contracts, and they also have a big library of pre-configured and tested and trustful smart contracts that you can just deploy. And so they have now just brought out also a governor contract wizard for creating a DAO. And so this is kind of you can just click through it, and you get here in the screen, you get your ready-made code that you can deploy in your virtual machine or in your blockchain. And if you use this code, you have a running DAO, all the smart contracts that you will need, and you can configure this. Yeah, you can configure stuff like what's the minimum quorum. You can say, okay, 40% of all tokens of my tokens need to be present in the vote to make it valuable. Yeah, you can then say that all kind of ERC20 tokens can be used. You can have a time lock. Yeah, you can decide which one you want. Yeah, you can have stuff like this, upgradability, UPS stuff, and actually this is now all you need. You can copy it, you can download it, and you can put it on your own GitHub and start running this code. And you will be, if you build a front end for this, you will have a nice governance and a nice DAO just running, just like this. And so it's a 5-minute setup thing, and then deploying this stuff, and it will work.
And just maybe to also like earlier we heard code is law, right? But you of course have to think hard about what, even if you want to do a basic contract, right? Those of you who have actually worked on contract terms, it's not that trivial actually, right? So one thing is of course to simplify things with such tools, but the other question is, how can you make sure that this holds water in court and that it has the right business logic and has the right terms that actually make the DAO work with the right incentives and all of that stuff, right? So that also calls for different skills and experiences.
Yeah, you need to, of course, kind of, you should, of course, know what you are doing here. Yeah, so these are, of course, working smart contracts, but they are dumb. A smart contract, like everything else, is just doing what it's been told. And so before you use something like this, you really need to analyze what it's really doing. Of course, there's a nice documentation where everything is quite explained, but it's not a one-fits-all solution. And so the thing is, of course, that DAOs, to get it really working very good, need configuration by the people that really use the DAOs and want to. You need to kind of configure it to yourself if you want to have a bit more flexibility and more freedom in the things that your DAO should do. But there's a lot of good tooling outside there, and a lot of stuff is happening in this space.
You have to audit it. You have to audit it like crazy, because once you start it running and there's a bug, it's not like, oops, just restart the website. It's more like, oops, you lost all your funds.
And this is the nice thing, that you have this, let's say, predefined frameworks out there that give you a basic DAO with the basic functionality and the security that as long as you don't change this code is already audited. This code is already used in a lot of other DAOs and systems, and so you know this stuff is running.
Yeah, it's so you got the power of the crowd that's been using this, right? So, and there's been lawyers and from different organizations that have already vetted this, and the smart contracts are all audited, and the whole systems have been audited. So, talking a little bit about the complexities and making sure you don't run into some quagmire of legal issues. There's a lot of goodness there. But just like anything else, you can write a bad contract or you can write a good contract. You can put in a wrong mathematical formula and tank your financial system or not. So, but it's no different than anything else. But because you already have this system that's already been audited by several different companies, and there are organizations using it, it only continues to get tighter and tighter and better. So imagine if we just take this exact code and then plug in ISCP into it, and we benefit from all their business logic and everything that's already there.
So maybe I'll show you this a bit. This is Deep DAO. This is like an explorer for all kind of DAO ecosystems out there. So they have, in the moment, they track 165 DAOs, and they all have a total that's a total value of $10.7 billion dollars locked in those DAOs. And the nice thing is here you see which DAOs use which smart contract platform. And so, of course, let's say the biggest or the most valued DAO out there is Uniswap. Yeah? Uniswap is a DAO itself. It was created as a pure governance token to decide all the things that happen on the Uniswap exchange. And they use the compound governance smart contracts for their thing. And you see, compound governance is actually the most used and most wide platform of smart contracts that they use. Yeah, then others use Aragon, others use Gnosis, Substrat, yeah, DAOstack. And so these are kind of the 5-6 big frameworks for DAOs that are used out there. And you see all these all these projects use them, and so they're quite battle tested outside there. But still, of course, there's always some adjustments going on, and so the code is going to be updated. But still, there you see it's quite a nice thing of what stuff they are doing. You see also how many members, but this is actually token holders, so it's like 275,000 addresses on Uniswap, and they all have voting rights. So they have over 1,000 people that have a voting right, or voters in Uniswap. Some problems that I and everybody, also the guys in the DAOs itself sees, are that let's talk a bit, maybe a little bit more first about what different kind of DAOs are out there. Yeah? Maybe that's an interesting thing, because it's not only all about financial thing. Of course, this is a lot of DeFi stuff is happening there. Yeah, so every DeFi project is having a DAO where they are using this as a really protocol decision maker. Yeah, so every token holder of a DeFi protocol like Aave or Compound or Uniswap has voting rights that comes with their tokens, and so they can decide what should happen in the protocol. But there are other things. There are social DAOs, there are collector DAOs, there are all kind of different service DAOs. Service DAOs is a thing where a group of people is not actually governing a DLT protocol, but this is a thing where people come together with skills, and it's like a little company. Yeah, so let's say you have a group of web designers. They're all good in doing websites, and they agreed to come together, and instead of forming a web design company, they formed a web design DAO. The good thing for them is they don't have to burden with all these legal things that you normally have if you want to set up a company. So you can set up this completely only on the blockchain. The problem is for them, of course, they can also only make business with other blockchains, because they only can accept payments in stable coins or in Ethereum coins. You have no chance as such a DAO to open a bank account or get a business license. But you are easily able to make business all over the world. So if you are now a web design company and you are registered in Los Angeles, you will have a hell of paperwork and a hell of problems to accept a business offer from somebody, or to do a website for somebody in Uganda or in Russia or in whatever, South Korea, because there's a lot of cross-border and legal things involved in this. And if you set this up as a blockchain native company, as a DAO is, all this stuff is gone. You just offer your service out there to the world, to the internet, and as long as you are okay that your contract is executed in smart contracts and you receive payment for your service on predefined points in the smart contracts in form of stable coins or Ethereum or something, you can make business worldwide, and you can offer your service worldwide without the legal issues that you have around there. And this is kind of a narrative switch in the way people set up their companies and people set up their business relations. And it's still a long way to make this working, but it works actually. There's thousands of DAOs out there where people work together like this. They form a group of people, they have a skill set, and they offer their skill set. And you can make money with this. Yeah. So I got a study here. Maybe I can show you this. This is a study from Gitcoin. Gitcoin is a platform for developers mostly, where you can post jobs. All projects, all Ethereum-based projects are out there, and they have kind of bounties and rewards. And so it all works with GitHub issues. So you have a problem in your protocol, and you just post out, okay, I'm willing to pay $1,000 for somebody that solves this problem. And it's an open market, and every developer can propose to work there. And they have made a study over DAOs, and they kind of found out that they checked over 200 DAOs in this study, and they found out that so they made some gender things, how old people are in DAOs, in how many DAOs people are involved. So mostly are only in one or two, because it can get into a real full-time job. And also what kind of roles you have there. So most of them work in community building, governance, and in operations. And you can really earn money, yeah? What's that? What type of DAO? So they handle NFTs, they handle social stuff, they are investment DAOs. And what they found out is that the average salary, let me check on this, is around $3,000 that you earn per month if you work for a DAO, or if you are involved in a DAO and you offer your skills. And you don't need to be only a programmer if you are good in writing articles, if you are good in just being active in the community, helping people in the help channel in Discord, being a mod in the Discord. Every one of them can get rewarded for their work, and can earn money on that. The source of income, and where is it? How much money?
Yeah, that was a good little
make?
study. I've actually read this study. It's pretty insightful. The whole thing about these things is that you can take on a role, and it's very horizontal, right? There's, the whole idea about who's the boss and everything. That's not a big thing here. It's about what can you do? Can you grab the ball? Can you run with it? And that's the beauty of DAOs, right? So
that's so cool. You can just join a Discord. You can join a DAO. It's super easy.
yeah.
I could have, you just join the Discord there, and as soon as you are bringing value to the project, you get involved, you do something good for it, and it can start with just retweeting the announcements of this project. Yeah? They get exposure in Twitter, and so there are DAOs that give you, for every Twitter retweet, you get $1, something like this. Yeah? This is something here where you can start, and then the more you get involved, the more the other members of the DAO see your contribution, and they will reward you with incentives. And that's the cool thing on DAOs. If you are active and you have something to offer for a project, you can get rewarded for this, and this creates a nice way of people working together, and you are free, you are flexible. You can do this in one DAO, you can also work for 10 DAOs and offer your skills in different DAOs, and you can be completely flexible. You can do it once a week, you can do it full time, you can contribute only one time, but you will always get a kind of reward for your contribution. And this is something that we are, of course, envisioning for IOTA. This is a way we want to go, because we see that those projects make big progress just because they can leverage on the skills of the community members, yeah? And they can involve the community more in decision making and more actively being part of the protocol and being part of the project. And we really envision to have the IOTA community get much more involved as soon as we have a possibility to get these DAOs building on IOTA, and so everybody can just spin up something. You can group together. This Americas group could form a DAO and say, guys, hey, we are all engaged here. Let's form a DAO. Maybe we get some funding from the EDF or from the Treasury, and we distribute these funds for everybody that is actively contributing to reach the goal of our group.
Yep.
And so,
which is a great idea.
Actually,
yeah, that's actually something that that we have talked about. And what I really love about DAOs, and it's kind of the hidden secret of DAOs when you start learning about it, is, again, I was talking about the DAOs allow decision to be made by people on the edge, not executive management. You don't have to have an executive management team. You don't have to have decided leaders. you can actually allow people in the ranks, if you say it, anywhere within the DAO to make decisions. Sometimes it even empower them to spend and to actually work and work on projects that they own and run on themselves, and even take up and say nominate the project and just start doing it with a couple other people within the organization. So it's very flat. And that empowers people to do stuff like they've never done before. You don't have to worry about layers and layers of approval like we're so used to in normal business. And so this is the way of the future. There is one great. There's a whole series on Spotify that is just one podcast after another that talks about DAOs. And we'll kind of highlight that for you later, but it is such a fun thing to learn about because it empowers everybody. One guy says, and I think it really resonates, he goes, DAOs are going to provide the same revolution as the corporation did when the first incorporated company or incorporation started. That actually caused a huge impact on the world. For one thing, it sheltered people from being sued and losing all their assets. Right? It's a liability protection. But it actually changed the face of the planet as far as business goes. And this is what DAOs will do for us. So it's a fascinating subject.
And yeah, when you say the corporation, right? Why would you form a corporation? The transaction cost theory, right? As to what do you want to do in-house and what do you want to do outside of the organization. And if you have such a distributed trust model and a feeless way to compensate everybody, now you can take this to a totally different level. Yeah?
Well, that's exactly where I'm kind of going. There are still areas that are just like anything else. The legal construct around this, around the world, and the protections that you have and are afforded to you under a DAO are different from reason to read it. Yeah, it's complicated. It's heavily complicated, but it's actually we're in the process of creating something new. Which, when that happens, that's just the way it goes. This is very akin to what we're dealing with in the cryptocurrency world, dealing with regulation, right? The SEC and then the world banks and the world economic system is trying to figure out, hey, is crypto good, bad? Can it endanger the system? How do we put our arms around it? All the regulatory framework, all that stuff. Same thing here.
And it's a kind of a revolution that's going on also in internet. I mean, most of you have maybe heard about this Web3 thing, just evolving, metaverse and things like this. It's like some buzzwords sounds like this, but if you start researching the core of it, it's about solving all these problems our currently internet world, social media world has. Yeah, so enabling people to take control back over their data, not having Facebook and Microsoft and Google earn the information about you and make money with it. This is going to shift in the next couple of years. And DLT, blockchains, crypto will play a big part of this because this is a core feature of our understanding of how the world should be and how ownership and trust should be established. And DAOs are a way of disrupting this space, yeah, taking away the ownership from these huge monster data grabbing monsters and giving you back ability of controlling what the world knows about you and what you contribute to a project. And yeah, so making this possible using DLT, using cryptography, using blockchains, using the Tangle will really change the way next couple of years, maybe in 5 years, internet will be very, very different from today. And we are in the beginning of this shifting phase. And DAOs they are kind of the seeds where this is a big playing field where things are tried out, tested out, because living and working together in this worldwide community of anonymous accounts, if this is worked out, you don't need to trust Google anymore. You don't need to trust, you shouldn't trust Google anymore of first part, yeah? But people do it, and because people are lazy, and it's they made it super easy for them. And now this all things still seem complicated, but actually spinning up a DAO is 5 minutes, being part of a DAO, voting a DAO, this is already, if you have a MetaMask wallet and if you have an Ethereum address, things are already really easy for people that are a bit okay with doing this. And things will get much better the next couple of months, years, and we can be involved in this, and we can really shape a new internet culture, and this will have also influence on your normal life one day, on social structures, and one day this will also have influence on politics out there. Yeah? Having voting mechanisms that work on the blockchain and that are open and trustless. 10-15 years, people that have participated in DAOs will be much more and more, and then this will start to have really influence on the bigger societies out there.
Yeah. And I'll just add one part. The DAOs do all that, and just everything you just said, Phylo, was right, spot on. But for those of you guys, you take that and you add SSI and DID, so self-sovereign identity, which we're kind of pioneering a lot of that with our DID solution. Put that in, and it really allows you to control who gets to see what. You tell people what data do you want them to see, and then you can apply that and use that as kind of like the core way of for your information flow within a DAO. It's really powerful. So this is kind of part of the thing that complements everything you were talking about, Phylo. So it's just pretty amazing.
So I think I just stop sharing, and maybe we just go into questions. I'm sure I can continue talking the next 4 hours, but guys, ask questions, because if you're interested in this topic, it's a great way of thinking about new ways how we can all work together and get things done together in a project. Yeah.
I have kind of
one question that just comes to mind would be regarding the vote that is upcoming. How is that being implemented, and what are the consequences of voting either one way or the other? I think just deserves a little bit of energy, right? To know a little bit more about that.
You mean our upcoming first vote for the DAO? For the
correct.
Burn versus build, right? Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. But what is the actual status on that?
I mean, it's
for the people that are not following.
Yeah. Okay. The status is we are building the voting system. The voting system will be based on IOTA tokens. Will happen in Firefly, the vote, and still, Greg said it already. We're still definitely aiming for a vote in this year. Yeah, towards the end of the year, I think everything will be ready. Then it's kind of clear if option A, burn, is voted, tokens will disappear and will not be available for the community. They'll just be gone, and that's it. And then still DAOs can happen, DAOs can be spinned up, but not with those treasury tokens. They will be gone. Yeah? And if the vote would come for build, then the next step would be that the community will need to come up with ideas of what they should do with those tokens. Yeah, then the next things can always be voted on. Continue. We design the Firefly voting system in a way that we'll have the first proposal, and then further on more proposals can come. So the community can come up with ideas and say, okay, let's do a vote about, do we want a DAO? Do we want a gremium? Do whatever? And again, you can vote for this. Yeah, and so we envision this will be kind of a step-by-step. We discuss about things that may be possible, and then the community can vote up on what they want to do. Yeah, and so this should be then shape the way this system is developed.
Thanks, Phylo.
Dave, I think you wanted to chime in.
Yeah, I just had as I was listening to Phylo and kind of hearing the state of the DAOs, I had a thought that I just wanted to share. I mean, I can see a challenge for the governments trying to regulate this individually, and I think where it's going, at least it seems to me, is that we're starting to build kind of a world economy, a world community that diminishes all the borders and allows us to do, communicate, do business, do everything without having any, totally fluid, without regulations that are imposed by countries, but perhaps regulations that are imposed over our own economy that exist electronically. So it's really, I can see 10 years from now things being totally different and us living more in our own ecosystem virtually than we are in our own countries.
I totally
I
agree
think
with
you
that.
are spot on, because like if you think about it, you're spot on, Dave. I think if you're running a startup or you're starting a company right now, every time you want to go into a new country, you have to worry about regulation, right?
Mhm.
You have to worry about local regulation, local banking, how you're gonna actually operate your startup in that country, and that can be a very long process, right?
Yep.
And then imagine you're doing it for each country, right? And DAO completely eliminates this. You don't
Yep.
have to worry about the regulation. You don't have to worry if the government is going to be corrupt or not. You don't have to worry about the infrastructure. So that's what's amazing about it. Like you build a solution and immediately it's deployable
Mhm.
across all the countries in the world, right? You don't have to worry about local
Exactly.
presence
Yeah,
like you
and
would do with traditional business. That's what, and then and the DAO gives you that whole infrastructure that you typically would rely on through the government agencies, and like in many countries you will have to actually pay money to get those services because it's so corrupt,
exactly.
right?
And what we
That's,
don't
I
want
think,
to propagate is having all the countries impose their own specific regulations. That's what we should fight against. It should be one regulation uniformly across all DAOs, across all, and then I think it can work. If we have to, we're just going to be propagating the same system if we allow, you know, in this virtual environment, all these specific regulations by different different countries, different governments. That's just going to be the same, where we are right now, which is a whole mess of different rules that you have to navigate.
Yeah.
How
It does. I mean, and
transparent
to
is
be
it when
fair, it does pose a lot of danger as well, right? Like
It
if you
does.
think about it, if for example the DAO group is completely, um, not American based, and they start deploying their ideologies and their ideas into particular countries where the ideas are different, or even language is different. And you can see that with Facebook, right? Like Facebook, I think they only do moderation for like 3 to 7 languages.
Yeah.
For the news feed, and then the news feed then it goes into other countries. I was born in Czech Republic. In Czech Republic, no way they have moderators in Czech. So misinformation there is just crazy, right? And they don't control it. They don't care about it. And I think you will have a similar challenge with DAO, right? To get the diversity across all the different cultures.
And maybe that speaks to the way forward, which is we should actually try and start to govern and to regulate ourselves versus have, if that doesn't happen, then the outside people are going to start to regulate. It's much better
Yeah,
to
100%.
to build that
Yeah.
inside and that supports the ecosystem than to have things go wild and have it imposed.
Yeah,
Who's trying to get in? Somebody's trying to get.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Trying to get in. A new voice. Yeah. Go ahead.
And
Who's
it's
trying
pretty
to?
transparent, right? It's
Yeah.
transparent. All decisions are just there for anyone to see, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There's no hiding, right?
It's actually Bitcoin started with crypto started with this peer-to-pay payment system. Yeah, this was kind of the first thing, payment, and now this DAO thing is, what do you need payments for if you don't have any business and any organizational structures ahead? And this is what DAOs are delivering now after so many years of crypto being just a financial instrument. But now you have a chance of leveraging this and creating organizational and also social structures on a DLT, on a worldwide mesh, where it's kind of this is also dangerous, I think. So if you
Gman. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, there's a lot of danger, right? And if you just look at how software development works, right? Software development typically works. Build something and crash it quickly, or build quickly, fail quickly, right? And that's if you look at, for example, that's a very big fail for Facebook strategy, right? That's how Facebook is really continuously failing. But even with DAO, when you have the transparency, it doesn't necessarily solve that, right? And I think that's what Dave is saying is so true. You really need to start thinking about all these complex problems and try to come up with a balanced way to manage them. Otherwise, you will start having regulations coming in that will completely, break it. And I mean, I you could say that it will be hard to regulate it, but they will always find a way to regulate these things. Whether it's on the entry point or on the exit point, right?
I have a question for Phylo. Phylo, I'm wondering if you can answer this based on the research that you've done across the sort of broad system of DAOs, a lot of which are deeply into ERC20 and the how has structured how the DAOs operate? What is the fee structure when it comes to them executing?
They have
Please, go ahead.
So if I understand, it's about the fee structure, you think, or
they're not operating on feeless rails, right? Like IOTA does. So I'm just kind of curious as to how.
What they are doing, because this is the big issue for every DAO that is operating in the moment in Ethereum. Fees are absolutely a hell, and so what they are all doing now is like, it's a bit of they are all proclaiming their big decentralized mentality, but what they are all doing in the moment for their votes is they are moving away from on-chain voting. Because they see it's just too expensive for everybody. So what they have developed, maybe I share my screen again, is a tool that is called Snapshot.
Snapshot is completely off-chain, right?
Snapshot is completely off-chain. I'll share it with you. Do you see the screen here, the black one, Snapshot? Yeah, so this is... Oh, wait. Yeah, so this is Snapshot. Snapshot is a tool that is developed for off-chain voting. You can connect your wallet with MetaMask, and then you can it grabs the information of how many tokens you have. And if you have Uniswap tokens or you have Sushi Swapons, you can go there and you can vote in Sushi governance, but off-chain. And this is, of course, it works. It uses IPFS and the ENS name service thing, but this is, of course, not a cryptographically 100% trustful way of voting, because there is a central authority involved. Yeah.
So
that's the big problem.
It's kind of funny, right? Because it completely defeats the purpose of what DAO is supposed to do, right?
Completely.
It's same like with
completely
Gitcoin, right?
against.
Gitcoin is like, if you look at Gitcoin, is completely centralized. It's completely running on a centralized server. So it's funny, like you have these services and they are actually like, I think it's kind of defeating the purpose.
And some projects, because most projects have things they go through different stages of voting. So of course, because everybody can propose whatever they want, they have kind of a sorting process, and so let's say they have the first votes happening on the snapshot. It's like a temperature check. So they will put this on snapshot where it doesn't cost anything to vote, to see which proposals are actually really interested for the community. They have to pass a certain threshold in votes to be considered an interesting topic for the whole community. And then some put the last decision of a proposal on the blockchain itself to make sure that they have this cryptographically proof. But others make it really, because even this is too expensive and the participation is really, really low for those projects. And so some really say now, okay, actually we would love to have it all on blockchain, but it's too expensive and the fees are killing us and nobody's going to vote on anything if you have to pay $100 for it. So they put it all on snapshot and trust the system. Yeah. And this is something, of course, that we hope to change with IOTA, yeah, because we can offer feeless voting, complete free and feeless on-chain voting on the Tangle. This is what we are doing now in our first vote. Yeah, it's a real cryptographically proven DLT secured vote without any costs. And actually, we are the only ones that can offer that. So they put it in different chains and they try to come down with the fees. But what they really do is they want to have 0 fees for voting, and this is why they use Snapshot and stuff like this in the moment for their votes. But it's a bit against the crypto ethos, because it's a centralized system. It's a centralized solution for a decentralized voting protocol.
And I think, just to add to what you're saying, this is the really, I think, the interesting fact about IOTA, right? Like, it's not just the decentralized voting; it's a lot of the other elements of the app you can actually use and store on Tango, right? Like like a lot of the solutions that are on blockchain, and like particularly Ethereum, they only really store on-chain things they really have to, right? Where in IOTA you don't have the problem, right? You can completely go the other way. You store as much as you want because it's going to be feeless. And yeah, you got the challenge with the permanode or selective permanode, but still, it's a completely different challenge than being able to transact through the layer 1, right?
Hey guys,
Yeah.
This is Chris again. While we were talking, and I think it was a comment Greg made that, hey, we kind of want to be. I think Greg, you were saying that we want to be aware of what's going on out there. Maybe you're thinking from a regulatory standpoint. I love the discussion, Phylo. That was all awesome. And then as we're talking, I'm thinking, well, the only thing we need to do in the U.S. is abolish the IRS to make sure there won't be any problems. But I did a quick web.
I'll get right on that.
Yeah, please. I'm sure that we can do a campaign and we can vote them out. Let's do a DAO, right? So, I did a quick web search and I found something. This is, it's apparently there was a request from the Senate, U.S. Senate, asking for proposals on, how to manage DAOs. So it's there. And there's a proposal in here. I'd be glad to post some of this. But
Yeah, please do.
I can't find the link. Where's the link to our community? Wasn't it under AMER?
Well, you can put it in AMER, but there's also governance. But right now, if you want to just put it in the American channel, I can move it over for you.
Yeah,
So.
that'd be great.
Yeah, somehow it moved earlier. Okay, I'll post a couple of links there. And I happen to know, I have a former boss who is really deep into the tax side. If we wanted some kind of opinion, we could always ask. And I know some attorneys in DC, but they are very expensive. So
you have already the cool thing is in US you have all the states can have different laws, and so DAOs can of course already be registered as an LLC in Wyoming and in Vermont.
Yep. And Texas will be following probably within a month's time.
Exactly. In fact, when I did my search, the first thing that came up was Wyoming. I thought, oh my gosh.
Yep. And that's a worldwide DAOs that are thinking further. They are moving to this Wyoming setup. Yeah.
Okay, but just be clear. There is the local state government and there is the federal government. Both have their stake in I've been in situations they duke it out, they fight, for the money.
And the Wyoming thing is pretty cool, but it is way vague on liability issues
they don't know. They don't know what they're doing.
And if Wyoming was going to come up against the federal government, I don't think Wyoming has too much.
No,
now Texas, that's a whole other story. But yeah.
One thing is,
go Delaware.
Especially in the United States, people are concerned about taxes and guns very much. Yeah. I think the big opportunity that I see is also that yes, this all starts in the digital realm, yeah, but ultimately, of course, to link this digital ecosystem to the physical world, yeah, and for example, the actual deliveries that take place, and that you can then verify that yes, I delivered this package to this location, blah blah blah, and yes, in the smart contract, also then the tax man could get their share automatically from the smart contract, yeah, which would be a very different situation from today, where we have just achieved a minimum taxation of 15% globally, right? Because everybody is moving their profits to wherever they like, yeah, and we have a lower taxes, and the infrastructure shows what happens when we do that.
What happens is they'll probably fall. There's a lot of precedent set by multinational corporations, and oh my gosh, the transfer pricing thing, that's what that's all about. Do we have? Let me just ask Phylo. Are there U.S. based companies? There must be in the list of companies you had that were doing the DAOs. My reason for asking is I wonder if they have associations established so that are in DC following this stuff. And
yes, yeah,
you bet.
I got a quite good database. I will post later. I have a database of links I can post here in the channel. There are a couple of DAOs, especially really investment, because you have kind of venture capital or angel investment DAOs, and what they are doing, they're sourcing capital together, and then they fund startups and things like this, and they have organized themselves in a DAO, but also they need this legal registration, and they need a bank account, and they need a business registration, because otherwise they're completely fixed to only founding crypto things. And so they are set up as a DAO, but they also have the opportunity to use the normal standardized way. They pay taxes, they have bank accounts, they have a business registration.
They can interface with in the banking system, basically, is what.
There are a lot of, this is mostly they use Wyoming and Vermont setups in the moment for doing this.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a nascent thing. I mean, it's happening fast. And hey, I just for everybody, if you haven't seen in the Americas channel right now, I just posted a link to what I've listened to a lot of the Spotify DAO podcasts, and I put the one that I gravitated to the most. It's just absolutely excellent. So if you have an interest in this, it takes a little bit of time, but it is really good. And then you'll see when you go to that how many other DAO podcasts there are in Spotify, and this series is just spectacular, very good. You can get as deep as you want to go, so highly recommend it.
Yes,
I got in my list. I have a lot.
I have another question for. I'm sorry. I just thought I'd throw this out real quickly. But since you've done so much research on all these DAOs, are there best practices that that we should consider, primarily as a community, but just understanding how DAOs are structured and what some of the pitfalls are in terms of like DAOs kind of running into issues, especially around. Too much voting, voter apathy, all the things that I've heard of where DAOs kind of run into problems. Have you, in your sort of body of research, identified some of the key attributes of a community, of governance structure, of system design that you think of as some of the most ideal scenario situations, processes that result in successful DAOs?
If you ask about really my opinion, I think, of course, there's this narrative of pure code is law thing, which the DAOs started. This is a quite blockchain narrative thing, and everything needs to be 100% decentralized. Otherwise, it's just like crap. But you see every protocol is moving away from this total decentralization of everybody can do everything. So you need to think about a DAO about what should the DAO do, and if a DAO should be governing a protocol, it is not the best way of let everybody decide how a protocol should move on. Yeah. Does anybody of us here in the chat or in the Discord have the skills to decide how the IOTA consensus should be made? We just don't have the skills to do this.
Yeah,
But
we're
if
not
we
Hans.
would-
Yeah.
If we would be a DAO and you would give every IOTA, let's say member or everyone that is interested in IOTA one voice to decide what should happen next in the protocol, it would just crash because we don't have the skills. So you need experts, you need domain experts, and you need to give them room of making independent decisions, but with checks. So the good thing is in a DAO, it's this like if you have a normal parliamentary democracy, you vote somebody and then you have 4 years of okay, let's see what happens. In a DAO, you can always revoke your decision. So good thing is delegation. Good things are gremiums or boards or work groups or guilds or however you want to call it that come together, a group of people that have the skills and that have the trust from the community, and this trust is made by, they are elected to do this, and then they have a partial autonomy to distribute funds, to make decisions on their own, but they always have to make this public and open so everybody can check it. And that's the cool thing, you can do it on a blockchain or in a DLT. So you will always see where is the money going. You will always see what are the decisions that are made. And if the community is not happy with this, they can change this anytime. Yeah, so you can revoke your delegation, you can elect new members for this, and that's pretty cool. You cannot, like, even Uniswap. Uniswap is the biggest one, and they had a lot of proposals troubled because either not enough people participated, and so even not super big whales, but people with a lot of coins had influence to make decisions that are not maybe in the interest of the larger community. And so you need checks and balances. And the best way, of course, is like the future is moving away from totally coin-controlled decision making. Bringing ways of rewarding activity and contribution to a project, and not just having enough money to own votes or buy votes, is definitely the way to go. We are not there yet, so not one protocol has solved this, but with IOTA DID, with things like community matrices, ways of measuring participation in a project, and giving active members and active participants that bring a project forward voting rights, not only based on their token holdings, is absolutely a way to go. And this is, I hope we can make a big chunk with IOTA, because we have a great DID solution. We have a feeless voting mechanism that will make it easy for everybody to just click a button and vote, and it doesn't cost anything. And giving people that really shape project and that work and that devote time and skills to a project power and voting rights is the way to go. This is
you know, one aspect here is also when you think about how we currently make decisions. Yeah, as you say, we are represented oftentimes by politicians. Yeah, but what would be great, of course, if we actually, one thing in a more direct democracy, right, like in Switzerland, where you actually vote on certain individual decisions, yeah, requires everybody to get educated on the issue, right? And that I think is a good thing, right? That people are involved, that they need to spend time to think something through, yeah. But also, of course, the lobbyism, right, and how you want to shape people's opinions is then a big factor, yeah. And therefore making it transparent as to where a certain research or certain information asset comes from, right? Who paid for it, or who is, which interest is that asset representing is interesting, right? So, and I think, you know, what one cool aspect is, of course, is that now you cannot only vote every couple of years, right? But now you can actually vote on individual issues, right? That could span all different areas of public life, yeah. And there's pros and cons to that, I think, yeah. But I think it's very interesting to think about that, especially like in the States, right? We have basically two parties, yeah, and they actually are very similar at the end of the day when you really look at it from a European perspective, yeah. And now Andrew Yang is coming and trying to establish another party, right? Whereas you could really split decision making into different topics, and then I wonder, should there be like a reputation system to say, hey, look, this guy knows really something about whatever DID or the consensus protocol and doesn't know shit about this, yeah? So you give people also authority and because they have the credentials and skills to actually cast a vote.
You need to find the best people for a job, yeah. You think about it as a company, yeah. If you run this and if you are like in a corporate, you always look for talent. Look for talented people that have the skills to solve a problem or to take on a task. Give them a bit of resources and give them a room to be creative and solve a problem, because you trust them that they are that they are able to do this. And this comes, of course, from reputation. We have people in the community that everybody knows them. Everybody knows they have the skills. They have contributed the last couple of years. You can check this in GitHub. You can check this in Discord. You see how they contributed. Those should be people that have a say in those decisions, in the future way the protocol or the group or the topic is moved. Others, if they start to contribute, can gain also this reputation, and so we can design fluid systems that take this all in account, and you can make it really, really flexible. People that are not interested in deciding everything, every little code change in DID and the next code change in streams, you don't need to participate in these votes. But you could maybe delegate your vote to somebody that you know that you can trust, that is an expert in this topic, and you trust that this one is making good decisions in favor of a good outcome for the protocol. And so there's a lot of things to discuss, and there's a lot of topics to talk about, and the good thing is that in a DAO, the community itself can define all these rules, and you can put them into smart contracts, and they are there, they will be executed, and if you make good rules, you will have really, really good outcome of that. If you make bad rules in the setup of the DAO, you just get out what you put in there.
But, yeah, and again, just to get back to all of this, right? The beauty of DAOs over corporate, systems is that anyone can go ahead and look on the blockchain or the Tangle, in our case, and look at every transaction and audit it and just see where the money flow goes, right? It's kind of like it's all out there for everybody to see. It's not hiding, right? But in corporate America or any corporate system, right? You have no idea what's going on with their books, right? You may not know how governance is conducted behind behind the closed doors, even though they might tell you something. In fact, something else often happens that's different than what they communicate. Well, there's no way for us to know that, and often we find out the hard way, right? After some event has taken place and poor judgment has already been had, which results in some financial disaster. Well, with the DAO structure, we can actually always know what's going on at all times if we so choose. It's powerful as hell.
Transparency,
you have
absolutely
yeah.
huge.
Directly a way also to change things. If there is really something absolutely shitty happening in one decision, the next decision, you can revoke your votes. You can revoke your delegation to somebody. If there's really somebody that is proven he has fucked up the system, everybody just remove your support for them, and he's out. There's no power left for those individual or those account or those group of people to make another bad decision. Yeah, and so there's a direct action and reaction possibility. If the community is not happy with something that is happening, the community or the voters have the chance to directly change the system. They can change the rules. Yeah, if the rules are proven to be shit and they played out and there was one mistake happened, you don't have to wait the next 3 years and let more mistakes happen. You can change the rules and you can change the participants in this system, and you can shape it new to what you want. If you get a majority of people agreeing on this was a bad decision, we want something different.
Yeah. The speed of execution within a DAO can actually be way faster. It can go at the pace of business if you work it right. It can actually work more. It's a lot more nimble than a corporate structure to deal with something of, it's almost like having a company of 5 people. That speed can be achieved if it's managed. Maybe that's be a little optimistic, but as opposed to a large organization, right, where just the layers of coming to consensus, having meeting after meeting to get everybody to agree that says, hey, those rules, that program we set up, it's been running and it's not giving us the desired result. In fact, it's a disaster. But if you live in the corporate life, a lot of times that to undo that decision can take weeks. The political will for people to say, hey, we made a mistake, can be a career ender. All that stuff doesn't happen in a DAO, or it doesn't have to happen. I guess it could happen, but because you're kind of in an autonomous way and you're not, you're kind of on your computer working with everybody else, it's a lot easier to make those decisions and redefine and fix the problems that you created. Very powerful.
Hey guys, I'm really sorry. I have to check out for the call.
Okay.
But awesome discussion, and I'll definitely follow up. I look forward to it. Thanks.
All right. Okay, you bet.
Thanks.
Okay. 7:31. This is kind of usually when a lot of people turn into a pumpkin. I don't know what you guys think. It's a fun discussion for me. Phylo, you've been terrific on this. Anybody have any comments? Would you like to continue? You guys ready to check out? You want to add into the conversation? What do you think?
I'm actually turning into a pumpkin, as you say.
Okay.
So,
all right.
thanks, Phylo. It was a great presentation. I really appreciate it. I think it's an important topic to keep exploring and talking about it. So yeah, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Yeah, I posted a couple of links in the Americas channel to all my link collection of research. There's a lot of stuff to read up. There's also a lot of science going on. There's a lot of high-level research. Vitalik Buterin has made some great papers. I got them all in this collection. So if you want to spend a weekend in digging into the DAO universe, feel free to read up or watch a few of the videos or listen to a few of the podcasts there. It's really, really cool stuff going on there.
It really is. It's really fascinating. Okay, guys. Well, I think we're going to wrap it. This will be recorded, so the world audience we'll have it for them when people ask. Appreciate you all spending the time. Meeting in 2 weeks, we'll have some more updates for you. I think we'll have some more exciting things to talk about if everything goes the way I think they're going to be going. And appreciate you spending the evening with us. And go Dodgers.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Bye.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Okay. See you later, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.